Thanks for joining me on this journey, and welcome to the Journey with Jennie podcast on SM Enlightenment Radio or TV, where we hit all the topics that help and encourage you on this journey of life. Everything from health to mindset to business to finances. Anything that helps you and makes your life better, we cover it all. Welcome everyone. Today we are talking about my favorite gluten-free restaurants this summer. Okay, this is a follow-up episode to our last one. So if you haven't taken a listen yet, please go back and do that. But I'm going to share the restaurants that we went to and we ate at on our trip out west. We actually took a couple different trips this summer, so I'm just gonna lump them all together. But I'm gonna start with the ones that are the specific restaurants we went to while we were in Vegas and Zion and Bryce and Grand Canyon, because these are big places that are very common to go to. And so I figured that it might be helpful for you to be able to hear our experiences, hear about some of the restaurants that we went to, see if that might be something that would be helpful for you, that you might want to try to check that out when you travel there. And some of you might actually live near some of the places, and you might be very familiar with these restaurants that I'm going to talk about. So if so, let me know. So either send me a DM on Instagram or screenshot this podcast and put it in your stories and tag me. I would love to know about your experiences in these restaurants. And then even if there's other ones nearby those, or other ones that you want to share, same thing. The more that we share with one another, the more helpful it is for everybody. So that's why I'm doing this this podcast, because I'm going to share the things that have been helpful to us so that it can, or were great for us, so it can be helpful to you. So I'm going to share these restaurants that worked out well throughout our travels this summer. And let me clarify, if I didn't mention it, this is gluten-free eating we're talking about. Okay. So after you've done your research, remember we talked about prepping and doing your research, then you can dive in. So this episode will focus on restaurants in Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and Ohio. But actually, quite a few of the restaurants are chains and they have locations in a lot of different places. And I'll mention that with the different restaurants that we talk about. So that's pretty cool too. So it's not all the restaurants are only in those places. All right, let's get to it. So number one, our first state is Nevada. So I'm going to start with my absolute favorite one. I'm not holding back. I'm just going to dive right into my opinion, the best one. True Food Kitchen. Okay. That's the name of the restaurant, True Food Kitchen. And this one actually has locations in lots of places, so many places. I didn't even write down the whole list of them. You can Google them, you can look them up, go to their website, but they have restaurants Arizona, Nevada, California, New Jersey, New York, Georgia, Illinois, like Florida, all over the place. They have a bunch of different restaurants. Okay. And I want to share with you what they say on their website to describe their restaurant. It says, where real food and serious flavor are served in abundance, where culinary boundaries know no box, where wholehearted hospitality brings to life the art of gathering, and where feel good and taste good go hand in hand. Yours. Eat optimistically. It's more than a saying, it's a promise. So that's straight from their website. And I feel like that sums it up really, really well. It's just such a great restaurant. So they had so many gluten-free options. They had dairy-free options. They had vegan options. So there was something for everyone in our group when we went there. They are truly rooted in the community, and it's just a fun, beautiful atmosphere. And the service was excellent, and the food was delish. It was so, so good. And they have everything. They have everything from salmon to sea bass to burgers and pizza. And then some of the most tasty side dishes like homemade hummus and cauliflower. So, all kinds of really tasty, some unique things and combinations. The drinks were amazing. So, I highly recommend checking them out. And that's a great one to start with because it doesn't have to be in Nevada, even though that's the one that we went to. But there's a bunch of them all over the US. So, you can check that out. There might be one near you where you live that you haven't even checked out yet, or there might be one in a city that you're traveling to soon. Okay. So the next one in Nevada is flour and barley. And I know it sounds like a weird recommendation for a gluten-free option, but really it was great. It was so great and it was so good. So this is an Italian restaurant specializing in pizza and pasta. So they are a brick oven pizza place, okay, to be exact. And they make a mean gluten-free pizza. So in fact, the best that we had ever had. It was a light and fluffy crust, one we had never seen before in all of our gluten-free pizza eating. So, if you are a seasoned gluten-free eater and you understand what I'm talking about. So, if you're not, then you don't quite understand that, but that's okay. They're usually just very thin, squatty, flat crust. So, to have a high, fluffy, airy crust was such a treat. It was so lovely and it was so good. And we had the breadsticks. They came, we got them before our pizza came out. Turns out when our pizza came, it's the same bread that they use for the crust of the pizza. So basically, we had like two different kinds of pizzas. One with just cheese on it, and it was great, but we were so full. I would not change a thing. I would definitely get them both. They were really, really good. So much. It was a fan favorite for everyone in our family. They were just asking to go back there. Can we please go back there? And sadly, though, they are only located in Las Vegas, as far as I can tell. If you can prove me wrong, let me know. But that is what I saw. So I'm petitioning for them to come to the East Coast. I think that would be really, really great. But that restaurant is Flour and Barley. All right, moving on to the next restaurant to share with you is Pampas, Las Vegas. And so this was a Brazilian steakhouse. So they brought around the meat, right? And I've always wondered what that would be like being gluten free. Like, is that a safe option? Is that something we can do? And so I called ahead of time. I asked them, and then I spoke with our server when we got there, and then he talked with the chef. They were very nice. They were very helpful and very accommodating. So I would recommend again doing that. So these are just the places I went, but even if you go back to the exact same restaurants, I recommend you taking your precautions, talking to them, checking things out because things can change. All kinds of things can change in the restaurant business, and the experience might be just different when you get there. So always do your own prepping and checking. These are just our experiences to give you possibilities for you. So while we were there, so since the salad bar wasn't open, they actually brought the salad items to our table, and they had this platter with like all these things on it, and on top of them was laid, I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were like these balls of dough or something, but it had gluten in it, and they were on top of the thing. So clearly, that wasn't going to work. We couldn't have anything on that platter. So we asked for some of the items to be brought out separately, and they brought them to us, no problem at all. So they were very, very accommodating. So that was really good. All of the meat was gluten free, except for, I think, just one of them, I'm pretty sure wasn't. So we were able to partake in the meat pretty much to our heart's content. So that was great. So it was really encouraging to be able to go to a Brazilian steakhouse and to have all the meats that they are walking. So if you're not familiar with a Brazilian steakhouse, what it is there the servers walk around with skewers of meat, and there's different kinds of meat that's being walked around, and then you say, yes, I would like one of those, I'd like one of those, I'd like everything, please bring it to me. So the meat is just continuously coming to you, and you can choose what to have. So it's a really fun experience. It's amazing to think of just the different kinds of meat that are there. So obviously not a good option for our vegan friends. Having said that, often, not at this particular one, but there is often a very large salad bar area in a Brazilian steakhouse as well. So there are often a lot of different options for salads as well. So that was a great experience. But again, do your homework, ask your own questions for things. Okay. The next one is Senza Bakery. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. This was so yummy. It was worth finding them and getting ourselves there. Everything in there was gluten free. So it was so fun and so freeing to be able to just go in and order anything at all. And we're talking everything from quiche to donuts to muffins to cupcakes to ding dongs. They had made ding dongs. I mean, everything. It was so great. So that is Senza Bakery. All right, so those are the things that I wanted to share in Nevada. Now we're going to move on to the next state, and that is Utah. So in Utah, specifically, two restaurants I'm going to share that were near Zion. So the first one, there are quite a few different options here. One of them that we went to was Oscar's Cafe, and this is, and you can get American food, you can get Mexican, you can get Latin, you can get it all here. So they were very accommodating. They totally understood the gluten free aspect. They were really, really great. So that was really good. We had a really good meal. We actually got Mexican there. So Oscar's Cafe is a great option. And then we also went to Camp Outpost Company. And this is a pretty new restaurant, relatively new to Springdale. And I would say, like, this is a must. If you go to Zion, it's just beautiful. It's a really neat experience. You have an amazing view of the mountains right there. And everything is served to you as if you are camping, but it tastes way beyond camping food. It's really, really good. So they had things like burgers, including gluten-free buns, fries, sweet potato fries, Brussels sprouts, salads, chicken, and they have a dedicated fryer. They were really good about understanding gluten-free, had a lot of great options, very fun drink options there too. But this is one, if I remember correctly, that it wasn't open super late. So again, so just remember from what I talked about in the last episode, do your homework, make sure that you know the hours and that these restaurants are open. But that was a really great one to check out. And then also in Utah, but closer to Bryce Canyon, was the Sevier Coffee. And I actually mentioned this one. This was near Verbo. I mentioned it in the last episode, but this was just a great breakfast and coffee place. And so they had vegan options there, or they had vegan options, but they also had gluten free options as well. So that was really exciting. I mean, like, really, I felt like we were in the middle of nowhere, and they had these options that we can eat. So it was just really, really great. They were really nice people, a really great place. And then also near Bryce on the other side of Bryce Canyon was the pizza place. So another pizza place, but they had gluten free pizza. It was okay. It wasn't like the world's best pizza, but it was pizza that we could eat. And so it was great. It was a very clean restaurant, very nice people. So that was really great. It was just so lovely to be able to have options of things that we could eat. So that is Utah. And then moving on to our next state, Arizona. So in Arizona, we were in Page. And I will say, if anyone is listening who is in Page who counters anything I say, then I would love to hear from you. But this was definitely a difficult place to find something to eat. If anyone has any suggestions for those who are traveling here, they would be welcome. I would welcome them. We ate at a barbecue place. That was good. It worked out well. All the meats were gluten free. So you can just not get the rolls, not get the the corn muffins. So that was really good. So we were able to have that. But breakfast, we literally like found nowhere to eat. So there was a crepe place that we were attempting to check out. But they weren't open. So we ended up going to this main. So, and I share this with you just for you to understand, for those of you who are gluten free, to and are just learning everything's not always going to work out. Um, and then those of you that aren't gluten free to understand the plight of those that do eat gluten free. But we ended up, so we were attempting to go to this one place that was closed. We had to figure out something else. So down the road in the opposite direction, there was this like main breakfast place in town, and literally there was like nothing we could eat there except yogurt. So it was just, it was just kind of crazy. So, like I said, though, always bring your own food, always bring your own snacks. Be prepared because even with the best of plans, you just never know. So, if you are from Page, if you have traveled there and found great places, I would love to hear from you. Let us know what some good options are there. All right, so then moving on to the Grand Canyon. And so this is interesting because this is where I thought it was going to be the hardest place to eat. But amazingly, the cafeteria style restaurant there that we went to for dinner and for breakfast the next morning actually had quite a few gluten free options for the dinner and the breakfast. And the servers had a list of ingredients, they were very helpful. If you don't mind a random eclectic plate of things, then it works for you. So we did okay there, had some more snacky things, but again, we were prepared. We knew what to expect, and actually, we were surprised in a good way that there was actually more than we thought we were going to be able to have there. And we're talking like in the national park right there. Okay, moving on to Sedona. Ah, Sedona. Oh, Sedona. How I wish we could have spent more time eating our way through Sedona. So, if you are a foodie, you might know this, but like Sedona is amazing for a lot of things, especially really great restaurants. And they have so many great gluten free options. It would have been so fun to stay there and just try so many of them. So, we opted for a Mexican restaurant, the Tamalisa Mexican was authentic Mexican food. So that was really good. They were really good with understanding gluten free as well. And then we found this really fun ice cream dessert place and La Michoacana Dulce Passion place. And so Dulce Passion are the treats. And so they were like popsicles or ice cream. So that was a nice, refreshing treat. So they had some great gluten-free options there. And then the best one in Sedona, and this is one of the best ones of the whole trip too, is this restaurant called Picasso's. And I didn't even look up. I forgot to check to see if it's any other locations, but I'm pretty sure it's a local. I think it's in Sedona and they might have another one in Arizona, but it's out in Arizona. So it's called Picasso's. So everything there was gluten free and it was beautiful and it was delicious and it was amazing. And it's so funny because I knew it looks like it has some good options of some of the things that we were wanting to eat that night. And it looked like a really cute place. So we wanted to go there. And it was so funny because when we were ordering, I was making sure I'm like, okay, the gluten free pasta, the gluten free pizza, the gluten free whatever. And they were like, everything is gluten free. Like the only thing that wasn't was like they had I think it was the pizza. They had the gluten pizza and the gluten-free pizza, but then like all the pasta was gluten-free. So definitely a place you can feel very comfortable, very confident eating there. And it's delicious, really great atmosphere, really, really wonderful. Lots of great options and flavors for everybody to choose from the menu. So that was just amazing. And then we also went to the local juicery, and that was a great breakfast place or lunch place. They had shakes, acai bowls, they had gluten free waffles that were really good, vegan options, gluten free. It was just lovely. So that's just scratching the surface of restaurant options in Sedona. And then, last but not least, I want to travel to Ohio. And actually, these two restaurants cover more states than Ohio. I think both of them are in Ohio and in Indiana as well. They could be in some other places that I might have missed. So if you know about these restaurants, you can definitely let me know. But the first one is called La Rosa's Pizzeria. And again, like you heard several different pizzerias, but kids, what do they like to eat? But it was great to see so many different options that actually have gluten free pizzas and gluten-free options at them. So I say this also as to give you hope and give you encouragement for those of you that are gluten-free and just find it so daunting and don't know where to start. There are options out there. Okay. So these are all like seemingly random places from where we were starting on the East Coast. So La Rosa's Pizzeria had Tasty Pizza, had the gluten free options there, and they are in Ohio and Indiana, as I mentioned. And then the last place I want to share with you, and this was one of my top favorites as well, was called the Brew Burger Bar. So BRU, Brew Burger Bar. And that's in Ohio and Indiana as well. Again, you can let me know if they are in other places, if you've ever been there. But just beautiful, beautiful presentation, unique flavors, unique options. They had gluten-free bun. They were very understanding, very accommodating as well. So that was just a really good experience. And so I love taking the time to share these, and I will share these. I will also put these on my Instagram and put them there. I'll probably put them in highlights so you can just use them and go back and reference them. And I'll put pictures of the food and of the restaurants that we were at. But I just hope this is a great resource for you and a great encouragement to you to know that there are great restaurants, there are great places. Yes, it takes a little bit of more effort and more preparation and looking for things, but they're out there. They do exist. And so, hopefully, this has been helpful to you. And again, if you have any comments about any of these restaurants or have gone to them yourself or have other restaurants you want to recommend, go ahead and put it on your stories, tag me on it, take a screenshot of this podcast, put it on your stories, tag me on it, and share it because that would be great to be able to share resources with one another and really be a great place where we can just help one another and encourage one another. So I hope this has been helpful to you. Hopefully, it didn't make you too hungry as you were listening to this, depending on what time of day you're listening to this. It could be like, now go eat, right? So enjoy this. I hope it's helpful to you and have a good one. That's a wrap. Thanks so much for joining me on SM Enlightenment Radio or TV, or joining us on the Journey with Jennie podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please download my podcast and leave a 5-star rating and review. It really does help, and I would be so grateful. I'm Jennie. Have a good one.